Those are copper sheets. Oh man.
April 6th. And the hurricane in Moscow these days is blowing off roofs, destroying skyscrapers, then knocking Muscovites down. And Moscow was swallowed by the hurricane and flood of the century.
Holy cow, the wind is blowing hard.
Moscow city is blown apart, roofs are destroyed, Muscovites are screaming. 18,000 Muscovites were left without power.
You were talking about a tornado.
And all the windows are shaking.
Uprooted trees, large fallen cranes, and roofs that have been completely torn off.
Department reports, I'm saying.
In Moscow and the Moscow region, there was a severe hurricane, hail, and flood.
Live reporting from the scene. Here is Leningradsky Avenue. Ta-ta-ra-ta. Good grief, this is a total disaster.
Moscow is flooded. A squall, hurricane, and rain have submerged Moscow. Moscow is being flooded more and more. Friends, like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, write in the comments where you're watching from, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started. Hurricanes, squall winds are blowing down houses, roofs, flooding skyscrapers. Panic and evacuation have begun in Moscow. Boom, bada boom.
Holy cow, what a wind.
Wind, rain, and hail damaged hundreds of cars and infrastructure objects. The elements created a traffic collapse. Buses, trams, and trolleybuses stopped running in Moscow. And a tree fell on one of the Moscow metro lines.
A mega downpour with hail and possibly tornadoes hit Moscow today in the Russian capital.
The Ministry of Emergency Situations didn't warn Muscovites how dangerous it is. Moscow might go underwater. This is more like the hurricane and tornado of the century. Strong winds are tearing down billboards, roofs of Moscow houses, and knocking down trees. Trees destroyed skyscrapers and cars. There are casualties due to falling trees. Muscovites are in a panic. The hurricane is destroying roofs, blowing out windows. Muscovites are screaming. Their tents are being blown away.
Listen, this is probably the best story that I've ever had.
And it's wiping Muscovites off the face of the earth.
It's absolutely crazy what's going on here. This is just insane.
A yellow alert has been issued in Moscow. Muscovites are being flooded.
Crazy. It's just a downpour here.
They're literally being wiped off the earth. The wind is tearing up tents. Muscovites are screaming. Friends, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and in the comments, write a few words in support of Ukraine and also about how Mother Nature is destroying the Russian Federation and its capital. Stay with us, stay on the side of light. The promised tornadoes were recorded in Lobnya near Moscow. Moscow has been flooded. Moscow and the surrounding regions were hit by gale-force winds and rain. There is a thunderstorm warning there. An orange alert level is in effect in Moscow. Boom, bada boom. Flood it good until Moscow drowns forever.
Those are copper sheets. Oh boy, oh boy. Holy moly. Yeah,
That's money.
that's money.
Hail is being observed in some places.
Friends, gale-force winds, a thunderstorm, a hurricane, Muscovites are in a rage. The wind is ripping roofs off houses, windows are smashed, and trees are destroying cafes and local new buildings.
What were they saying about a tornado, Vanya?
And the windows are shaking, rattling in their frames. Everything around us is trembling too.
Muscovites are in a panic. Their tents are being blown away by wind and rain. They're furious. They don't understand why this divine retribution has come upon Moscow.
Well, this is crazy. This is totally insane. It's beyond words. Yeah.
This is a boomerang. This is God's providence, punishment for all the evil that Russia has done to our country. Ukraine, Moscow, is being flooded, friends. Write in the comments what you think about this.
These weather conditions are expected to persist across the Central and Volga federal districts for the next 2 days.
And so the wrath of God is intensifying in Moscow. Hail has started. Heavy rain has begun in some parts of Moscow. Capital residents also posted videos of the hail. Ice stones from the sky are crushing Russians. According to Yandex weather maps, a squall and hurricane are hitting the southwest and south of the capital, the center, and the northeast. A wall of rain and hurricanes are hitting the Moscow region, specifically in Vidnoye and Korolyov. The Ministry of Emergency Situations warned of storms and squalls in the Moscow region. A yellow alert level is in effect there.
Yeah, Benya.
Panic in Moscow, the hurricane of the century in Russia. Raging wildfires have left thousands of Russians without power, heat, or homes.
Everything's burning. Everything that can burn is on fire. Everything. You can't see a thing.
My whole life was here. I put so much into this place. Now I have nothing.
Look, the cars are fleeing. Because the tires are melting from the fire.
Holy shit, what the fuck?
I don't have my passport. We have nothing. Everything burned down. We only just managed to save ourselves.
This is karma, a state of emergency in Russia. Over 150,000 Russians are without power. A large-scale evacuation has begun.
The roads are completely blocked. Everything is closed. And there's just no way out of here.
Massive fires and hurricanes.
There's the Saragash district. The fire is fucking raging right along the road.
Dozens of villages are engulfed in flames. The fire has reached the edge of major cities. The situation is most critical in the Krasnoyarsk region and the Republic of Khakassia.
They're honking, we're running, because the flames are coming for us. Oh my god, just look at that. Wow, the flames are literally right next to us, so close.
It's blowing people away, blowing down houses. Hurricane force winds have hit several Russian regions at once, while massive fires destroy Siberia.
We put so much into this place, and now I have nothing.
Boom, bada boom, burn, burn bright, so it doesn't go out. Friends, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dasha Shaslivaya, and leave some kind words for Ukraine and your location in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started.
Holy shit, what the fuck? Oh my god.
The elements are raging across Kuzbas, Khakassia, Altai, and the Krasnoyarsk regions. Fires driven by gale-force winds are spreading rapidly and destroying entire villages in Siberia. Hurricane-force winds and heavy rains also hit the Kemerovo, Novosibirsk, and Irkutsk regions. According to the Russian Ministry of Energy, power outages due to the weather affected over 150,000 Russians.
The situation remains difficult, even though the wind has died down. As you can see, it's still there, just as it was before. Moreover, the forecast for the next 7 days says it could reach up to 20 meters. For a steppe fire, that is more than enough. So, once again, I want to strongly urge all of our valued residents to be extremely careful with fire.
Hurricane-force winds have struck Siberia. It's tearing off roofs. It's knocking down power lines and causing wildfires to spread rapidly. Dozens of villages are engulfed in flames, and the fire has reached the outskirts of major cities. The most critical situation is in the Krasnoyarsk territory and the Republic of Khakassia. In the Irkutsk region, 17 houses are already gone and 100,000 people are without power. In the Krasnoyarsk territory, 33,000 are without electricity. And in Khakassia, 40 are officially injured. Dozens of fires, a wall of fire stretching nearly 80 kilometers. Wildfires and forest fires are raging near Abakan and Minusinsk. The fire is approaching homes, people are being evacuated, and those staying are told to fight the flames with shovels, reports the CHTD Telegram channel. In Krasnoyarsk, the wind tore off roofs. One woman died after falling from a balcony. Along the airport highway, a wall of fire has reached the very edge of the runway. Many regions in Siberia are experiencing massive power and water outages.
There's the fire. Those are the nearest houses. 100 meters. People, please listen.
Ashes are all that's left of their former life. The fire, driven by hurricane winds, consumed both their home and belongings. Cars, furniture, clothes, all turned to ash. The whole neighborhood tried to help, but the Maligans and their 6-year-old daughter lost everything.
We don't even have our documents. I can't even get a new SIM card because I don't have my passport. We have nothing left. Everything burned down. We only just managed to save ourselves.
Only tears and 1,000 questions remain. What's next? The Antokin family also lost their home. It's on the next street over. Victoria, a mother of 2 young children, took shelter with relatives in Abakan during the hurricane, and now there's essentially nowhere to return to. Just ruins and the lonely frame of a stove.
The roof just caught fire, and that was it. Everything burned down in 5 minutes. The dog burned, the chickens burned, all the buildings, everything. Nothing is left. It's terrifying, of course. We managed to leave the house with the kids beforehand, while the grass was still catching fire.
The neighboring field is exactly where the wind swept toward the houses and became a conduit for the fires. Sayana Kazigasheva was among the first to lose her home. The flames destroyed the 2-story house and all their belongings in just a matter of minutes. Now there's only scorched earth all around.
The fire started at that end of the street. I got scared, so I grabbed my child and drove to the city. By the time I came back, the house was already on fire.
In the Vesna gardening community, 5 houses were destroyed in total, meaning 5 families lost everything at once. 14 plots were damaged to some extent. 2 houses burned down in the village of Sapogov. Overall, during the storm in the Ustabakan district, 17 private and 6 apartment buildings, 3 kindergartens, 6 community centers, and 2 farms were affected. Authorities have formed a commission to assess the scale and compile a list of those in need of financial assistance.
We're determining the amount of damage, doing what we can. So if our own financial resources aren't enough, then naturally we'll be reaching out to the Republic. That's for certain. We're currently helping people in any way we can. If anyone has nowhere to stay during this difficult time and no relatives to turn to, we're providing social housing.
As for the causes, there are obviously many factors involved here. It's the hurricane force winds and the fire safety measures that authorities should take in advance, or rather, the neglect of them. Abandoned plots overgrown with dry weeds pose a significant danger in moments like these. However, every single one of them has an owner.
The strictest measures will be taken. We've already exchanged information with the Astabakan District Prosecutor's Office. We'll be preparing documents to carry out municipal land control.
Clearly, the recent hurricane and fires have been a real shock for many residents of Khakassia. The terrifying and uncontrollable force of nature turned into a horrific inferno. Now there's a new trouble, one with a very human face. People have started noticing looters at night.
They saw us watching, backed up, and then they turn off their headlights. They drive, stop, and turn off the lights. Then they turned around and started shining their high beams right into our windows. I mean, they're literally checking to see who's home.
For the authorities, one of the main tasks now is assessing the damage and helping the victims. Anyone who cares can help with this. The personal number of the head of the Ust-Abakan district and the Unified Emergency Dispatch Service are on the screen. You can find out more details by calling. People with children have been left with practically nothing, and any help here would not be out of place. And it's easier to get through a disaster together than alone. Konstantin Kravtsov, Karim Tuguzhekov, Vesti, Khakassia.
Moreover, well, I saw it myself while walking when the fire spreads and residents start pulling grass by the fence. Of course, this all needs. One of us is truly the master of our own land plots, whether they are summer cottages, garden plots, or residential properties. And of course, in order to avoid any possible trouble or unexpected issues, it is absolutely essential that all necessary safety measures around the plot are taken in a timely manner. I'm calling on residents first to be careful with fire and the elements, and on the other hand to help municipalities as much as possible with the upkeep of settlements.
There can be no peaceful truce or peace agreement. That's why I really like the president's words when he said we won't just pressure them, we'll finish them off. That's exactly how we should act. Finish them.
A compromise is always possible. For example, cremation or...
Burial. That's not a compromise. That's the result of a result already achieved, yes.
Well, how else? How else with the Nazis?
Right? I think so too, meaning shoot them and hang them. There are no other options.
Or maybe we should use tactical nuclear weapons on that city where this decision-making point was located.
Wiesbaden. The fascists were there once too.
Well, that's fine.
They had headquarters there.
In any case, well, how should I put it? I'd say tactical nuclear weapons. Well, they're the king's last argument.
The last strategic one?
And it must always be kept ready. And its use.
Strategic, yes. Tactical is fine. High-altitude explosion, powerful electromagnetic radiation. The radiation won't be high, but it'll...
No, sir.
Well, don't bother. What's there to do after a nuclear attack?
Yes, Vladimir Rudolfovich, I, by the way, completely agree with you, and you know it, and just yesterday in your evening show you touched on this topic, and now you've quite rightly noted that, but as they say morally, to take responsibility for the use of nuclear weapons.
It is a sin, but an even greater sin is, of course, to lose a war, and even more so, to lose your homeland. So the situation is unfolding in such a way that this is probably the most, in this sense, correct path, because this European fascism, it must be stopped once and for all and uprooted with fire, with ashes, with nuclear weapons, and so on, because they've just become far too arrogant.
But what I wanted to note in this regard, again, from a general strategic standpoint and the development of the situation as a whole, and the preparation, so to speak, for future conflicts. After all, by and large, these drone strikes on targets within our country's territory, well, this is already being carried out across the entire European part, so to speak, and the Ukrainian armed forces are already being equipped with drones that have a range of 3,000 kilometers, which reaches as far as Novosibirsk. So, what needs to be said in this regard? That the very concept of a rear area, as such, is disappearing. And in general, the problem can be framed like this. Well, okay.
That is a characteristic feature of modern warfare, of course.
And what does that... Just scatter them across the country, one crate under every bush and one canister here and there. And the issue is that this is truly a major problem we're facing right now. We need to look several decades ahead here without any exaggeration. And, well, maybe even ask ourselves this question. Can we solve this problem with existing technologies? Because, well, let's just say it's not always possible to solve it through organizational and staffing measures alone. I'm telling you again, after all, well, for every fuel tank, you can't station an anti-aircraft missile regiment after all. In general, this is a problem, so to speak, that needs to be discussed at the highest levels, both in public and in open access. And in private, because, well, the very stability of the state during armed conflict in the future depends on it. And this is just the Ukrainian side for now. I'm not saying who will be a participant in the next war, how it will all turn out, where it will happen, or in what way. It's important to understand something else. For example, strikes are now being carried out on fuel and energy facilities, but across the country there are quite a lot of such facilities on which, well, the entire functioning and viability of the state depends.
You've corrupted the children, and you're shoving the first bite into them. Now check yourselves. You've sat down at the table. At the table, let's say the grandmother has cooked some borscht. Her daughter is sitting at the table with her husband, the son-in-law of the grandmother who cooked the borscht. And the children are sitting at the table. The first bowl is being poured. Who does the old woman pour the first bowl for? If it's for the children, she's a criminal. If it's for her daughter, she's a double criminal. To her daughter's husband, the man sitting at the table, the father of her grandchildren, the first piece and the first bowl. Then to the daughter, then to herself, then to the children. How do you act? You shove everything sweet into the mouths of your puppies, who then grow into dogs and maul you. Debauching, going crazy, jumping off roofs.
Why did they do this? Why? We didn't go to them in Ukraine. Why the hell would we need it? And we lived peacefully, and we will live.
Do we consider that this 30-day truce has already begun, or will additional preparation be required?
We believe that this truce, which was proposed by the President of the United States of America, has already been violated by the Kyiv regime. How the American side will actually manage this crazed and dangerous terrorist scum in the future, excuse me, well, that really is a very big question.
I only welcome such terms.
How will they get them back into any kind of stolen channel? That is a big question. Do you understand? Then we perfectly understand why it's about energy. Because it all started with energy. In 2022, when Biden said that Nord Stream 1 and 2 would be destroyed by any means, answering a follow-up question from an American journalist who was in shock at such a statement from the leader, as they call themselves, of the democratic world. And 6 months later, it happened. After all, this is training people with an extremist mindset for a certain, not even a red flag, but a certain piece of meat. They raised this monster, which now strikes specifically at energy facilities. Do you understand? So that's the question. How will they deal with that? I don't know. With that Frankenstein they created, how will they manage?
Please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dasha Shaslivaya. We work for a global audience so they know the truth about Russian aggression and Russia's war against Ukraine. Therefore, every like, every comment, and every subscription ensures that this video is watched by as many people as possible around the world. Be with us, be on the bright side. Friends, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. We will definitely win.